Okay, simple and compound interest. So simple interest, the formula is just simply I equals PRT. I stands for the interest paid. It's not the percentage, it's not the 5% and so forth. It's like actually the amount paid for interest. What does the P stand for? Yep, principal. Okay, so back to here. So P stands for principal, and then what about R? Casey? Rate, right? The rate. Okay, so usually in the rate they tell you the percentage. Don't forget when you do the calculation, you do have to change that percentage to decimal, and then T. Okay, obviously stands for time. Okay, so these are for the simple interest. Compound interest. Okay, A stands for the amount at the end. Okay, P same thing, stands for principal. Principal. I stands for interest. Okay, so it's the same as rate. And then N, this is a tricky one. It's also time, but think of it as how often is the payout. Oh, actually, interest per. Let me rephrase this a little to help you guys not mix it up. So there's a reason why they use R here and I here. So like this is interest per term. Okay, and then later on we'll talk about like what it means. So there are two types of interest. Which type do you think is more popular? Which one do we use more?
Compound.
Compound. Do you know why? What's the difference between simple and compound interest? Let's say in a savings account.
Simple interest is just the same amount over and over again. For instance, if you have $100 and it's 10%, you consistently just get $10.
Right.
Well, compounding interest, it adds onto the amount you already earned from interest before.
Perfect. Yeah. So for compound, you earn interest on interest. Okay. So like for example, let's say TD Bank, they offer compound interest, and Royal Bank, they decide to go with simple interest. Nobody's gonna go to Royal Bank. So because of the competitiveness, all banks go with compound interest. Okay. So we talk about these terms right here. Yesterday we talked about it. So know that compounding terms annually just means one. Semi-annually, twice a year, so it's two. Quarterly, 4 times a year, so it's four. Monthly, 12 times a year. Bi-weekly, 26. Yesterday we did a lot of this. Weekly, so it's 52. And then daily, we just simply do the 365. Okay. So let's do two examples. Lucy invests $3,000 in a savings plan that pays simple interest. Okay, it's paid at 3.5% per year for 4 years. How much will she have at the end of the term? So since they tell you it's a simple interest question, you're simply gonna just use I equals PRT. Okay. Your principal amount is how much you invest at the beginning, so $3,000. The rate, 3.5%. So what do I put in my equation? 3.5%. What do I put in the equation here? Vanessa? 3.5%? Right, 0.035. Don't forget to always change it to a decimal. And I'm just doing this simple interest for 4 years. So 4. So on the calculator, you can just do it all on your calculator. 0.035 times 4, you get 420. So is that my final answer? So at the end of my term, I will have $420. Right? Right. Don't forget, you have 3,000. That was your own money. So the amount at the end is principal plus your interest. So 3,000 plus the $420. So you get, so at the end of 4 years, when you check your account balance, it should show you 3,420. Okay? Right, Aiden? Right, Tenzi? Yeah. Okay. Example 2. On the other hand, Daniel invested $2,000 in an account that earns 2% compounded monthly. How much will he have at the end of 4 years? So this one, because I see the word compounded, that tells me I should use the compound interest formula. So A equals P times 1 plus I to the n. Do you need to memorize these two formulas? Yes. Okay, you have to memorize it for the final exam. Remember, for this chapter, I'm gonna give you guys an assignment instead. So then, yeah, you don't need to memorize it for the assignment because you can use your notes. All right, but for the final exam, you do have to memorize these two formulas. So $2,000 to start off, 1 plus. Now this is the part where I is not just 0.02. What do I have to do with this 0.02? Felix? What do I have to do with this? So notice here, this one is R and this one is I. So I is the interest per term. So what do you think I have to do with this 0.02? Not multiply, but divide, right? Okay, because 12, because it says it's compounded monthly. So I have to divide it by 12 so that I know how much interest I'm getting each month. So 0.02 divided by 12, I get this number. Okay. Can I just round it to 0.0017? Should I round this number? Aiden? No, because here we're only dealing with 2,000. But imagine like banks with like 200,000 or $1 million deposits. This does make a big difference. Okay, this could be like a couple $100 difference. So when you do it on your calculator, make sure you don't round. You try to take as many decimal as you can. And then n. Okay, same thing right here. In this one, simple interest, we use the letter T, but here we use the letter N because you have to also consider the monthly. So what do you guys think I should do here for N? It's 4 years, but how often am I getting paid in that 4 years? Yep. Yeah, you have to times it by 12. So you get actually 48. So over the 4 years, you're getting paid 48 times. Right? A lot of people forget to change this number, and then they put 4. Okay? So interest, you have to divide by 12, and you have to times by 12. So it's always the same number that you are dividing and timesing based on what it says. If it says compounded monthly, it's 12. If it says compounded weekly, then it's 52. If it says compounded semi-annually, then it's 2. Okay? So on the calculator, right? So this is what I would do. I would try to keep the whole decimal and then plus 1, press equal, raise it to the 48, press equal, and then times it by 2,000. Oops, 2,000. And then I get the amount. So 2,166.43. Okay, so only round your final answer right here to 2 decimal place because it's money. So when you do this on a calculator, if you have one of the good calculators where it shows you exactly like what you're typing, then you can just put everything in your calculator in one line. Otherwise, you'll have to do the bed math. You have to do this plus this, press equal sign, raise it to 48 plus equal sign, times it by 2,000 plus equals press equal sign. Okay. So how much interest was earned over the 4 years? At the end, I found this much in my bank account. So, Zoe, how much interest did I earn? 0.43. How much of that was my own money? 2,000 was mine to begin with. Yeah, so that means I earned $166.43. Do you guys think that's a lot or a little? How long did it take? How long did it take Daniel to earn $166? Joanna, how long did it take Daniel to earn this $160? 4 years, right? All right. So, do you think that's a lot or little? So, who thinks it's pretty good money? Okay. Who thinks it's very little money? Okay. So, sorry. Okay, but well, technically, you're not doing anything. You're just letting your money sit there, and you got $160 for free. Okay, so not too bad, right, Aaron? It's free money. It's free money. Okay, but on the other hand, instead of just letting that $2,000 sit in the bank account, what could you do to make it grow more? Fujensia, what would you do with that 2,000? Invest, right? Yeah. So a lot of people use the money to invest rather than just let it sit in the bank account because the interest rate is very low. Right. Um, so he wants to earn more interest. What are two things he could do to earn more interest? Now, Vigencia said invest. Do you always win by investing? No, you could lose all. You could lose it all too. So I wouldn't say that's the best solution or answer here. What are some ways that I could do to guarantee that I can earn more money? Right, good. Okay. So increase, whoops, I can't spell. Increase principal. So if you have more money, instead of letting it be in the piggy bank, you can increase the P value. Okay. Casey, what were you gonna say? Keep it in for longer. So increase T. Increase the time. Okay, put it in for longer to make more money. Okay. One more. What's another way to earn more money? Let's say I want to just keep the 2,000. I want to only put it in that for that 4 years. All right, I can shop around for.
Infiltrate the bank and at 2 0 is your interest rate.
Okay, so in other words, I could go to a bank that pays better. Okay, for better interest rate. So increase the interest rate. Interest rate. Okay, so a bank that offers a better interest rate, something that's higher than 2%. Now, this is like a finance lesson now. Usually, if TD Bank offers 2%, CIBC is going to offer 2%. Royal Bank is going to offer 2%. They're not going to do much different than the other. But what's another one that's also a savings account? Anyone know? That's also a savings account, but pays a bit higher. High yield, yeah. Or e-savings. All right, there's another one. Close, close. Starts with a G. Kenzie, what type of account will pay you higher interest, but you are not going to lose any money? So like it's not an investment account, but a type of account that will always pay you higher interest with no risk. There is something like that. GIC. GIC, that's right. All right. Anyone know what GIC stand for? Okay, yeah, guaranteed income certificate. Yeah, so very close. Good job. So GIC is something that pays you higher, but what's the catch to it? Sorry? Not withdraw less, but you can't withdraw. So usually GIC have terms that are like 1 year term or 2 year term or like a 5 year term, something like that. So in that 1 year, it means that you're gonna give it to the bank and I'm not gonna withdraw even once. So let's say Aaron puts in that 2,000 and he wants to put it in for the 5 years so that he can get 5% interest. All right. After 4 years and 11 months, unfortunately, Aaron broke his leg and he needs money. Okay. So he takes out that money. Now, what is the bank gonna pay you? Nothing. Right. So that's the catch. You broke your leg while robbing the bank. So that's what happened. All right. So that's why there's these different terms. The longer your GIC, the more percentage, the interest rate that they give you. But then you have to be sure you don't need that money. So if you think you do, but you know that you won't need it for 1 year at least, then you can do a short term 1 year GIC. Okay, so this one is guaranteed. That's what the G stands for. It's guaranteed, so you cannot lose money. Guaranteed. Okay. What's something that is much bigger return but much more risky? You can't do that through a bank. But something that you can do through a bank, but uh, high high risk, high rewards. Stocks, right? All right. So stock market, you can either win a lot of money or you can lose a lot of money. So for example, let's see how the stock market is doing today. Oh, all red. red means red means down. Okay, so red means it's yeah. Okay. So when the market is red, it means you are losing money. That $2,000 might suddenly, like after one day, it could really be down to like 500. Oh, okay. I like that thinking. So people do say you buy on red days and sell on green days. So yeah, green days mean like it's up. But keep one advice in mind. So I'm pretty sure all of you at some point in your life you're gonna be investing in stock markets. All right, because I think all of you are really smart and you know how to make big money. One word of advice is everybody knows how to buy, but you need to know how to sell, whether it's sell at a loss or sell when you gain. Yes, easier said than done. Okay, because when you're winning, you're thinking, oh, I want to win more. Or when you're losing, you're like, oh, it's gonna rebound, it's gonna come back. But then you end up losing more. So keep that in mind. Remember, one thing that Ms. Ching taught you in grade 9 math is everybody can buy stocks. It's easy to buy. You can buy at any price. Just that the smart people is knowing how to sell, when to sell. Okay. Okay, back to example 3 here, Jeff. So this is more realistic for you guys right now. I know you guys are not buying stocks like at this moment, but probably in like 4 years from now, you'll probably all want a car. Okay, so Jeff wants to buy a new car priced at 33,000. He puts $4,000 as down payment and finance the rest of it with CIBC at 3.35% compounded monthly for 5 years. Okay, how much does he end up paying for the car? Okay, so because I see the word compounded, I'm gonna use the compounded formula. A equals P plus 1 plus I to the n. Okay, what's my principal? Noel? I'll put 2900. Right. Where did that 2,900 come from? 29,000. I'll remove the 4,000 payment. Right. Okay. So in this case, P is 29,000. A lot of people put down a down payment so that they lower their principal amount. Okay, 1 plus, and then I is the interest rate. So 3.5% as a decimal is 0.035. Felix, what do I have to do with this I? Divide. That's right. Not times. Divide. So 0.035 divided by 12. That's 0.002916. Okay. And then N. I am gonna finance it for 5 years. So 5. Aaron, what do I have to do with that 5? Times it by 12. So 60 terms. Okay. So 0.002916 and then 60 as the exponent. So when I put all this in the calculator, so again, I'm going to do it step by step. Okay, plus 1, press the equal sign, raise it to 60, press the equal sign, and then times it by 29,000, press the equal sign. And I get $34,537.34. Okay. So, oh, that's not too bad. 5 years, I only paid $1,000, 1,500 for interest. Is that right? So at the end of 5 years, I end up just paying 34,000. Is that right or wrong? Grace, what do you think? Wrong. Yeah, why? I didn't pay only 34,000. How much did I actually pay? Oh, okay, smart. Okay. What about Maxwell? Oops, sorry, I didn't mean to scare you there. Did I just pay $34,000 for the car? Okay. So again, because the way I worded it, you probably know that is not. How much did I actually pay for the car? Yes. Remember that $4,000 that I paid out of pocket at the beginning. I still have to add it back on. So that means in total, the amount that I paid at the end was actually $38,537.34. Okay. So roughly how much interest did you pay then in the 5 years? Aaron? 5,500. So how many of you think that's okay? 5,000 for over 5 years. All right. How many think say, well, that's a lot? Okay. So those of you who says that's a lot, but in reality, what can you do? You don't have 38,000, you don't have 33,000 cash to pay it off right away in the beginning. So that's why banks charge you this. Like they're not gonna just give you the car and say, "Hey, I like you. Just pay me back in monthly installments." They're gonna make their money. That's how banks make their money. That's how the car dealerships and all that make their money. Okay, the finance department at car dealerships. So, but if you think that it's a lot, what are three things that you could do to lower the overall cost then? You're always thinking about gambling this morning. Right? Aiden, what's something that I could do to lower the better bank? What about the bank?
Lower compound interest rate.
Lower interest rate, right?
Or you could take a shorter year plan.
Okay, yeah. So instead of 5 years, lower the time. All right. So instead of doing 5 years, maybe just do 2 years. But what's gonna happen if you do 2 years? What's gonna happen to the monthly payment? Uh, no, not 2.5%, but a whole lot more. Because instead of spreading it out in 5 years to pay it off, you're saying, okay, I want to pay it off much sooner. So then your monthly payment is probably gonna be like over $1,000 for each payment. Okay. One more thing that I can do to lower my overall cost. Yep. Okay. Yeah. Get a cheaper car and increase the down payment. Yeah. So both. So increase down payment. That's actually a big one. EQAO love asking this question, so that's why I'm going over this with you guys. And or cheaper car. Both of these is to lower your principal. Principal is PLE, not PAL. PAL is like Mr. Rowe, principal. Okay, so both of these last two things that Simon and Casey said are to lower the principal. Okay, so true or false? Is higher interest always bad? Tensi, what do you think? Is higher interest always bad?
Whose interest are we talking about?
Exactly. Good. So tell me the difference.
Well, if it's for my money, it's higher interest. If it's me losing money, higher interest is worse.
Right. If it's a savings account, you want higher interest because you're getting money. And then if you are paying interest, then of course lower interest. All right. So that's why if you take a look at all right, that's why if you take a look at this and this right here, these two questions, notice we basically set the opposite of each other. This one was like increase the principal, lower the principal, increase time, lower time, increase interest rate, lower interest rate. So there's no one word fit all. It depends on the situation, it depends on the question. So if you are trying to buy a car, that means you're paying the bank interest, then you want a lower interest rate. If your savings are buying a GIC where you get interest, then you want something that pays high. Okay, so on EQAO, I'm telling you, they do ask this question every single year. So either this or this. So depending on the question, you need to know how to answer. Okay. Yeah, so you guys can try page 35 and 36 on the back. These are the questions and some problems with comparison.